Yeah.
Yeah, I already know where I'm going with this one, but I'm gonna wait and lurk for a hot minute.
I know Black's going to keep me accountable for the words out of my mouth, so I got to make sure that I don't put any personal stories in there. I'm just giving you shit, Black.
I know.
Man, hey, don't worry about Black, man.
This
Hey,
one's
he's smart, man. He too smart.
this one's much more open ended. I mean, this is who's more accountable for children or the future of children. You know, the mother or the father, and why. Um, this one's a bit more personal, so I'm interested in what people think. Going to be gleaning a lot from this one, but I have an opinion.
For the entire future of children? Wow, that's crazy.
I think it's a balance. To be honest with you, it's a balance. When I say that, I mean the early years, the mother is the most important part, you know. But after a certain age, like 9, 10, the father, not even 9, I would say 7, 8, the father figure, the father role is definitely much more important than the mother. So there's a balance. That's my opinion.
I want you to imagine a very large vein pulsating in the middle of my forehead that's visible from maybe about 50 feet away. Good Lord,
Man, you crazy as hell,
we
boy. You
we talking
stupid.
about the future of children. We ain't talking about points in time. Over yonder, a little while from now, it literally says the word future. Please, 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 like James Brown begging, please, 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 stay on topic, please. Don't make me do it to you. I got more clips. I got something for you. Stay on topic.
Now,
We're talking about the future. Children are the future.
now Black, I gotta ask because I'm new to the room, y'all, and I'm new
Yes,
to the
sir.
group, so I'm trying to get acclimated, right? Now, so, but it's interesting. You chose the word accountable instead of responsible. Was that very specific?
No More Friends gave the topic. I don't know why he used accountable, but I think we understand there's intersectionality between responsibility and accountable from the prior room. So, for those at least have the context of the prior room, they would understand that part.
Okay. All right. So who's more accountable for children's future, the male or excuse me, the mother or excuse me, the father or the mother, and why? Got it. Okay. All right.
And
I'm a noodle on that while y'all
hey,
dialogue.
I'm gonna tell you what. That's a great question. Why? Because you look at right the correlation between the responsibility and accountability, right? And how one is on the left side of the equal sign and one is on the right side of the equal sign. You understand? As we're looking at the equation. And we do look at the importance for, right, and the responsibility of having sex and engaging in sex. We see the importance for women to close their legs, right? And now have the level of judgment, the spirit of discernment, if you will, right? You're able to now see that this person is either good for you or either bad for you. And talking about our women, I got 4 daughters, right? So, in speaking the importance of controlling yourself, and this is at the root of all of it, y'all. I'm gonna give you a motherfucking. This is gonna be the thing that gives it away. It's discipline, right? How are you now engaging in these things, right? With engaging in sex with discipline, right? Are you conducting yourself in discipline? And if you don't act in discipline, right? If you're not responsible, right? Then this is what you now have to take account for. the thing that you did that is shameful. This is not, you understand? So now this is where things go wayward. But looking at the important responsibility for our women to close their legs, you understand? And now, because they are the house of life itself, we have to give it up. Even though us as men, we plant that seed, we put that meal in the microwave or the oven, we know she's the oven. She's the generator, as it relates to that, the more material forms of life. So there is definitely a responsibility that she would have to take account for, right? And now choosing or selecting the wrong person on the right side of the equal sign, right? We see mother by herself on the left side of the equal sign. This situation after she's gotten together with father on the right side of the equal sign, right? So that's the answer. Now, if it's wrong or if it's something, then you have to account for that. But if it's right, then that's when we're looking at this future, and that's the unity of all of them together. This is now we're talking about standard now coming together. This is what they call the true Holy Trinity, which is mother, father, and child, or father, mother, and child. You understand what I'm saying? Now being able to implement the processes, the standard, via discipline, via control. You understand when we're talking about the future of our children.
Okay, I gotta say something real quick. So, women wouldn't need to close their legs if there wasn't a dick coming for it. Okay, so I just gotta say that that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I get it. You're absolutely right. But I have four daughters, right? So they have, you gonna have people that are gonna come up to you fine as hell, girl. But what you think I'm telling my daughter? You think I'm telling them that shit? No. I'm like, you better control. That's your house. You are in control of that. Don't listen to any of these. Don't listen to this other. And whenever, if that's not done or if it doesn't happen, and then now she takes another path and chooses the worst baby daddy ever, that's something that she now has to account for, right? But unless she's been raped, right? Unless she's telling to me somebody, hey, she's been raped. You understand? Now it's, you know two people are coming together with the mother, the woman opening the womb. Now, of course, there are certain enticements. The man might come through with his dick in his hand or whatever, might be the finest dude. But who ultimately is letting them? And again, I got daughters, so I'm not separating myself from the mission of our black women. You understand? No, I'm not. I'm pairing myself and understanding the importance of responsibility and duty that, of course, our women must have when before now accommodating this process of allowing this man to come into our house because she definitely is the house of life again.
I have so many things to say on that, but I
Go
don't.
ahead, let's see it. Let's see it.
Nah, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for a man because I'm not a man. And so, speaking for females when you're not a female, I mean, I was actually going to talk about a personal story about men, women, babies, because I'm a single mom and I'm in my 40s. At the same time, when you're communicating a personal story to someone such as yourself that's going to make a comment like that, I'm not even feeling it, man, because again, it takes two to tango. It takes two to make a baby. And I feel very, very strongly about it. And I don't want I'm not going to get into certain things because they're big topics, but you're bringing in big topics like choosing, what you want to do with it. And so it's a tough discussion. I'm glad we're having it. And I don't expect everyone to agree. But I kind of take what you said. I'm just being honest of, a man trying to tell me what to do, if I decide not to have the baby.
Right. Well, I'm not telling you what to do. What I'm telling you is I have 4 daughters, right? And I don't know what you encourage and advise to your daughters or either son. But even with you being a mother, it would be almost foolish for anyone to say, well, hey, just because you are a mother, you can't instruct this man, a young man, or advise to him, suggest to him the very important things that are going to allow him to be equipped with responsibility. You understand what I'm saying? And duty, right? Be a if you have so me, if you have a daughter, are you not going to encourage her to her and tell her the importance of watching out for those men that are coming in sneaky doing whatever to try, put that nasty little stinking ass dick in, could give you diseases, AIDS, could be worse than having a child. You understand what I'm saying? The importance, who would not teach this to their child? And obviously, with now being, I'm going to say, with us feeling some type of way or feeling as if we can't be responsible and have this discussion and promote this to our daughters, right? Are we promoting what, if not that, what are we promoting to our daughters? That we're not, I'm not talking about the sons. We definitely need to, we're going to talk to the sons. And with me, I don't have any sons, right? But there are things that we should be advising to our black men and young black boys as well, right? So I think that's just a responsible conversation, and regardless of what gender you are, you shouldn't feel any type of way or slighted because we placing no, we're not placing the blame on. I got 4 daughters. So if they end up getting themselves into this situation and allowing some creepy ass dude to come in and right, that's us, right? And you can speak for your situation as you wish, and I'm not mad, right? So I think that's what now gives me somewhat of a responsibility and duty to have this discussion because even off of this app, I have this discussion with my children.
Well, and while you were speaking, I said I don't need a man, and I have a son, but my son is a child. He's not a man. And so I agree with the fact that, you know, it's the responsibility of the parents. If you're lucky enough to have both parents in your life, because a lot of fucking people don't. And so I agree that we have to talk about these things to our children, but I shouldn't sit there, I don't want to have a man who is not a child, even though anyway, but maybe that clarifies a bit, IQ, and maybe like what I was hearing, and let me know if I'm wrong, that having 4 daughters, God love you for that. I don't know how you do it. But like, it sounds like maybe you are speaking like from that father perspective more so than if you didn't have kids. And maybe I heard, kind of heard that wrong, but yeah, I agree. From a parent's perspective, you got to teach man, or you have to teach a boy or a girl, but hopefully when you're grown, you're not going to be have to having the same conversations with a 7-year-old versus a 37-year-old, but we're not there yet.
Can I say something real quick? I mean, when it comes to sex and having a baby, I get it, it takes two. But as women, we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers of our body, right? So to say it takes two, I agree. But also, without your consent, there's no way that you can have a baby. There's no way that you can have intercourse because you are the gatekeeper of your body. And as a mother of a son, and I'm also single, unfortunately, I cannot say I don't need a man because even if I'm not ready for a relationship, I have a duty to my son. He needs that balance. He needs that. So for me, as a boy mom, I know for a fact I need a man. I need to be married because my son needs that father figure. He needs that balance.
The title of the room: Who's more accountable for the future of children, the man or the woman? I ain't heard nobody talk on the topic yet. Oh,
Um,
that one vein that I had done turned into two. I look like one of them anime characters on Dragon Ball Z, wanting to power up to Super Saiyan right now. Like,
well, I think I did, Black. I
I,
don't want it to go over your head, but when I said the unity of the man and the woman, ultimately, that
No,
there's
I
this word or. It ain't and it ain't alphabet soup. It's one or the other, literally. I don't understand why people don't understand English. I just can't. It's like everyone that comes off the mic keeps doing it over and over and over again and then trying to tell me it's the same. No, it's not the same. That dog don't hunt. You take your ass out of the lion suit and go out to the middle of Serengeti with some damn lions. They gonna know you ain't no lion. And they gonna eat your black ass up. It ain't the same. So I'm gonna help by being an example instead of just criticizing. I'm gonna talk about the damn topic. In my opinion, I think it's most important for the man to be ever present in the lives of their children. And the reason for this is that it provides a different set of consistency for both the male child and the female child. For the female child, it provides them with an actual picture of what a man is supposed to be, how he's supposed to comport himself, how he's supposed to love on the woman that's in his immediate proximity, how he handles constructive criticism, how he handles adversity, how he handles her, so that even though he can be firm and chivalrous and honorable and altogether and logical, he also has a part of him that is very, very concerned that he can protect and provide and provision and be a priest for that household. And that in his expression of leadership, he's not just lording over anything, he's a servant leader. He is serving the interests of those that are willing to follow in him, and that is a symbiotic relationship that produces great exponential results for everyone that comes out of that household. For the male child, it's completely different. Why? Because women are utterly incapable of teaching boys how to be men. They're not men. It's essential. It's akin to us trying to get a lion trying to teach a goat how to be a zebra. That dog don't hunt. So it's not even about balance. I don't know why balance comes up in this conversation. It's not balance at all. It's about the difference in capability from either side of the parenthood, the father and the mother. But if you're going to ask me to make a choice between the father or the mother, which is what the topic is talking about, the father is more critical to that particular instance. How do we know this? Well, we already have in existence an entire community that for 3 or 4 generations has had single motherhood households, and we've seen how that's turned out. It's been pretty rough. And in the same time frame, we've had single father households, and we see better outcomes. So we know at least that's a little bit better. So this notion that men can't be nurturing is bullshit. This notion that women can't submit is also bullshit. This notion that we don't have defined roles that we're clearly better at than others is bullshit. You know, if you're a duck, be a duck. You're not a chicken. You know, and you'll be happy that you're not a chicken because niggas eat chicken, but they don't eat duck all the time. So if you're a duck, you might be safe. You're not gonna get fried up and KC'd up and Popeyed up because we don't eat duck. Duck ain't even available at the restaurant. But if you're a chicken, it's open season. We gonna eat you. Quarter thigh, leg, breast, and wings. We're gonna smother you in hot sauce and side you with some red beans and rice and macaroni and cheese and cabbage and collard greens. We're gonna dress that thing up. It's gonna be on the plate. We're gonna eat it. And after that chicken is gone, we're gonna get on our toilet and press out them troubles to the Lord and lay our burdens before the Lord and leave them there. You might strain a little bit because we ate the chicken and didn't chew. And so it didn't digest good enough. So to me, it just makes sense that there's a process, that there's a value proposition, that I don't believe that people are equal. Men and women certainly aren't equal in any way. A man is not a woman's not a man. So being equal is bullshit. We have differences, we respect those differences, and we should leverage those differences for the benefit of the children that we sire. Because I personally am not for the, you know, siring of anyone that's a bastard kid. That's an non sequitur for me, which is why at 45 years old I have no children. But hey, to each one, it is. To me, as a man, I grew up being taught that the greatest gift that a woman could ever give you is her womb, and that if that's going to be the case, then you need to be married to said woman in a covenant relationship that you do not plan to leave and that you won't leave, so that you can have access to that particular gift that cannot be replicated by time or opportunity. Now, if you happen to want to be a fornicator or a skeezer or a whoremonger and go out there and glaze up everything like, Shipley's Donuts or Krispy Kreme, then hey, more power to you. That ain't gonna be me. So I think it's vitally important to have that man who's operating as a man for both daughters and sons to see. That's something that can't be replicated. A woman is a dime a dozen. You can have a woman that's not capable at all, and so long as you have a strong father there, those children are going to be okay. I don't think there's a compelling case that we can say it the opposite way around. You know, I don't think that there's any evidence, at least for boy children, that women have consistent success in leading them towards anything that resembles a capable man because they're not men and they don't know what that is. It's kind of hard to teach someone to be something that you're not. So, I think we could reasonably arrive at the notion that perhaps women who are actually women can raise more capable girl children, and men who are actual men can raise more capable guy children. You can make that claim pretty solidly. You can make a claim just based off of what we see that clearly men who decide they're going to take fatherhood seriously tend to be on par, if not in some cases, superior parental choices than motherhood. Why? Because women have burdens that men don't have. So they're at a disadvantage in the rearing of children. That's honest to talk about. You know, most people who are in a position of authority at companies, for instance, tend to try and run women out of the professional networks when they get pregnant or to make it very difficult for them to take FMLA. That's a thing. There's whole industries where they refuse to hire women because of the possibility they could lose productivity because if that woman gets knocked up. You still got to keep paying them even though you're not getting anything out of them. So because we know these realities, now we can begin to have a picture and a kind of constructive conversation of what that actually looks like. And if you line up all the pros and cons from both sides, I see a compelling case that what's more important to the future of children is the father. Because in instances where the father is not present, shit tends to fall apart pretty badly. And in instances where the mother is not present, things tend to be okay regardless of whether she's there or not.
I have a question
I
for you,
strongly
Black.
disagree.
All
I
right,
strongly
sorry.
disagree.
Sorry, Q.
No, go ahead, Harmony. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Steve.
I apologize. So I have a question for Black, right? Do you think that all men are equipped to be fathers, just like all women are equipped to be mothers? And in those cases, when women get with certain men who don't have the tools, that have their own trauma from their own childhood,
Are you
you
asking me
know.
the first question or are you adding
Okay,
more
yeah,
to it?
okay, the first one.
So the answer would be that I think that the question in and of itself is innocuous and moot because clearly I said that men who operate as men are capable fathers and women who operate as women are capable mothers. I don't think that there's a difference. But if you're going to ask me a binary choice between a capable father and a capable mother, What we actually see and observe is that consistently capable fathers end up with better results than capable mothers if they're left to their own devices. And the reason because men have different sets of capability than women. If you're trying to talk about the future of children, you always want a strong man or a strong male presence in the situation because they're going to be steady. They're men. There's no fallback. There's no failure. There's none of that. They have to be on point because there's no fail safe. And that example sets an incredible precipice for children, male or female, to follow. Hey, I had my father in my life. Hey, I was actually able to have conversations with him. I can pick up the phone and glean from his wisdom right now. I saw him go through incredible, trouble during the course of his life, and he never folded. That's not something you typically see from the female counterpart. I mean, it doesn't happen all that often. And when it does, it's expressed in a way that mirrors masculinity, the strong, independent woman. I'm sorry, that doesn't work very well. We know that. As a matter of fact, it's an utter failure. Be what you are, be what you were designed to be. If you're a capable woman operating as a woman, that's the best thing you can possibly be in the lives of your children because they need to see that, particularly if they're girl children, which is why I will readily admit I think that women are far superior if they're operating in their womanhood at raising girls, and that men are far superior in their masculinity at raising boys because they're teaching them what it means to be what they're already choosing to be. But if you're going to ask me a binary choice, I'm going to take a capable father over a capable mother because the outcomes are better. We know
The
that.
reason, okay, I'm sorry, go on.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, so the reason I asked you that question is I mostly see opposites attracting. You would see a woman that don't have the tools to be a mother connecting with a man that has all the tools to be a father. And on the other side, a man that has no tools to be a father connecting with a woman that has all the tools to be a mother. And I see that a lot in society and people around me and people I know and stuff like that. And when those two come together, you know, it's like two opposites coming together, you know, and most of the problems come from there, I think, because in that relationship, there's no balance, and it's very rare to see two people that are equally yoked. They both have the tools, they both they both have the tools, the discipline, everything. Those couples, I think in society, they're becoming more and more rarer, you know, because of society and the changes and multiple of reasons. So when you get them kind of situations when they're total opposites, you will find a man that has the tools and the woman that don't have the tools, or the woman that has all the tools to be a mom, but she chose a man that don't have the tools. Like, what is your opinion on that? And yeah, what is your opinion on that? If you get the question, I know it's a bit
I do. A
deep
few
in.
things. I'm not an advocate for the bastardization of children. I think children need to be born and planned in a marriage. And that when you talk about equally yoked in a marriage, you got to understand you're not operating as one person. The moment you take that vow, you're no longer single. You become one flesh. It's a we thing at that point. So operation as single goes away. There isn't a competition. It's leveraging the strengths and the weaknesses of the unit for the propagation of the household. Now, in terms of this notion of men who don't know how to be fathers or women who don't know how to be mothers, I would submit to you that that's not possible because you're missing that there's a difference between a male and a man and a female and a woman.
Hey,
I hope that helps.
I'll say this. I kind of
It does.
understand what she was coming from in relationship to what you are now taking account for, right? So when you're talking about who's accountable, obviously we talked about the correlation Before accountability, there was responsibility, or either the lack of, right? We can all agree to that. And basically, by you coming together, because I tell people this, I know people, plenty of people that have spent $50,000, $100,000 on expensive weddings to come together and be married for 1 year. But now, by these two people copulating, right? This is something that, although you may not have those vows per se, you are coming together in either the responsible nature or either the lack of responsible nature to now engage in creating a child. And that's where standards, right, come very, and it's kind of funny, Black, because you just said the same thing that you were telling me I was wrong about. I was saying this whole unified approach that even we don't have to quote on, even if you're not married, right? And you're still going to approach the situation that is the responsibility of both, right? Because now when you look at that child, it's just not one thing that it took to create it. It's two things, right? And not that we should get one-sided. Salute to those men that are doing a great job. But I salute to those women that come from poverty and ain't got shit, but by them now engaging in an irresponsible act, it has led them to a place where now accountability is something that has to be taken, right? And there are those strong fathers, those good fathers, great fathers, could be messing with the raunchiest and worst woman ever, right? So now either he even has to take accountability, you understand, of now making the bad choices, acting in irresponsible nature, or either acting and conducting himself in a responsible nature now to avoid some of the things that he would have to account for. So I think that ultimately, right, this is why I said man, woman, and child, right? This unification, even outside of marriage, these things should still be approached in that manner. You understand what I'm saying? I really feel they should be the unified approach.
I understand what you mean. We can agree to disagree. I don't think it works outside of marriage because you're creating dysfunction, whether you realize it or not. Part of the example of mother and father is being husband and wife. That's the right way to do it. And in instances where you're creating the bastardization of children outside of that covenant relationship, you're setting up your children to continue that same type of behavior or pattern. And we know that that's not really a good outcome at all. Um, and you can look at it from any way you want to look at it, from net worth to generational wealth to the accumulation of debt to educational attainment to the actual behavior of the children themselves, down to suicidal ideation, the level of their health, their social skills, things of that nature. It's much more beneficial to have that unit that looks like the unit that it should be than in any other instance. And that's what I would advocate for. I don't think that it's any type of equivalence between the act of having a child that was planned versus having a child that was unplanned. And to me, in every instance where the man and the woman who have the child are not married, it was unplanned. You could even call it an accident. And I don't think children should be growing up in an environment where they were basically an accident and then validated as though it was the same. Synonyms aren't the same. Um, I think we kind of live in a world where we try and make everything fit into the same pattern. I gave the example about 4 rooms ago about this game in kindergarten where they have kind of this block of different patterns on the ground. It's always made of wood. And you have these wooden blocks that are different shapes. And the goal of the game is to take the shape and put it in the right hole. And what I remember of that experience is I would see other kids who didn't have mastery over pattern recognition trying to take that square peg and shove it into the circle or hole, and they would get mad because it wouldn't fit. And take the star and put it into a circle and it wouldn't fit, when they can just look at the side of the shape that they're holding and then look at the block and put it in the right shape. I don't believe that men and women are interchangeable. I believe that we have vast differences and that those differences are supposed to be leveraged in an appropriate union for the benefit of the children that you're siring. That's where this quote unquote balance comes in. It's a balance of example and experience because now they have all of your strengths and all of your weaknesses. And hopefully they have enough of those strengths that they learn on their own that you don't even have to overcome some of your weaknesses. And that generation after generation after generation ends up better than you were. There's a quote from the Bible that says that children are wiser and weaker. And that's basically what it should look like. They know more, but they may not be able to handle adversity as much because the easier life is for you, the harder it is for you to deal with adversity. You've never seen it before. You never know what it looks like. You ever had a conversation with your mother or your father and they tell you something about, I never saw a hunger day in my life, or I always had a roof over my head or clothes on my back, those sort of inclinations in conversation? When I was a young boy, that didn't make any sense to me, but god damn it, it makes sense now. When you're paying rent and all the bills and you realize that you're the one having to do that thing, um, that's kind of where I'm at in the conversation. I don't equate everything as the same. I equate it as what it is. I'm not a relativist. I'm an objectivist. So me with looking at it, if I'm going to make a determination on what's really, really important for the future of a child, and I have to make a choice between the father and the mother, I'm going to choose the father every time because what I observe about the world around me is that in instances where you have both the mother and the father, or just the father by themselves, both of those instances result in consistently better outcomes than just having the mother present. And it's particularly telling with male children. They get to a point where a woman can't do anything with the male child because they project their authority, because women exude authority in a different way than men do. And even when they try to pretend to be like men and fill that role, you know it's not the same. Like I said, if you go and dress like a lion and go out to the middle of the Serengeti, them lions gonna know you're not a lion. You're just gonna get eaten up.
So
They
Black,
eat
how
nothing
does that
but
work? My bad, brother. How does that work when a child, like a teenager, is rebellious against the male authority too? How does that work? Where's the excuse for that?
well, I'll get to that here in a second. I think that men are a little bit better equipped to deal with rebellion coming from children because there's a difference in physical strength there. So there's at least the threat of, hey, if you don't fall in line, I can physically do something about it. You know, I can't tell you the number of stories I've heard from women, particularly if they're single mothers, and they're used to disciplining their child, and they get to that day where that belt or whatever they're doing starts to tickle or not make any sense, and they just ignore it. And they are completely powerless at the behest of this child that's basically running them, and there is nothing they can do about it. That's not a thing with men.
I think it is. I fought my stepdad back when he tried to discipline me when
But
I was
that's your
like 15,
stepfather.
16. It don't matter who it is. Like I know a bunch of young guys that'll beat their parents up or go against if it came to that. Like that's normal. That's more normal than, oh, you a man, I'm gonna listen to you because you a man. Like I don't know, my generation and era I grew up in, we ain't listen to older dudes at
I
a
didn't
certain
say
age. We did
anything
our own
about
thing.
I didn't say anything about listening to men. And the best you're going to be able to do when we're talking about this, because I'm talking in generalities, is get anecdotal. And that still doesn't change the central thesis of where I am. If you look at the vast majority of circumstances, when you have actual male authority, it does make a difference. I'll give you an example. I have two goddaughters because I don't have any biological children myself. The mother of my two goddaughters has a habit of yelling at her children. And she does it so much that she doesn't understand it no longer has a consistent effect on them. I cannot tell you how angry she gets that when I come around my two goddaughters and I just speak to them calmly, they just do it. I don't have to raise my voice. I don't have to say it multiple times. There's a distinct difference between male authority and female authority in the way in which it's expressed. You could almost claim it's biblical. There's a certain type of authority and gravitas that a man operating as a man has that a woman's never going to be able to have. to replicate. They don't have it. And it's not something that can be taught. It just isn't innate to what they are. Just like there's a certain softness to women that isn't innate to men. It's just something they have that they choose to operate in that. It's innate to them. And these are just objectively something that you can generalize. You see it, you've experienced it for yourself. So while I would grant that we can get deductive and say there are exceptions to the rule, for some reason there's a man out there that allows his son to beat on him. You know, a man operating a man, that's just not going to happen. The unrestrained brute strength of a man is horrible to be around. When men don't constrain themselves, the level of strength we have is monstrous. Do you understand if you wanted to, you could go out to the average tree and just with your untrained strength, strip the bark clean off of it with just the raw power of your hands? Women can't do that. Our strength is crazy. But we spend all our lives learning how to hold back
But
both
you
our
have to hold back.
emotions, huh? We
You
spend
have.
all of our lives learning how to,
Oh, my
huh?
bad, bro. No, I was saying you had to hold back, brother. My fault.
Yeah, we spend all of our lives learning how to hold back our strength, our emotions, our words, all of that. Because us in our natural state isn't uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable for everyone.
Not only that, if you,
And yet,
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
no, it's all right. I'm gonna let you rock. I'm almost done. Men never get credit for that. It's just assumed that we're just supposed to be on our best behavior. But to be quite honest, if men were as emotive as women wanted them to be, the world would be a terrible fucking place. You don't want unrestrained men. You want men to be men. You want capable men, and you need to leave them the fuck alone. Just like you want capable women, and you don't want to run across of them. There's an anachronism that says, "Oh, hell have no fury like a woman scorned." It's true. You don't want to piss a woman off because they're capable in a very different way than men. And by the time you see it coming, you end up like fucking Jonathan Majors or Johnny Depp. They'll plant that damn bomb right at your feet and you won't even realize it's there until it's at 3 seconds and it's too late to run away. I'll end there.
Yeah, in Philly, it ain't really about we know kids bad as fuck. We know kids be rebellious, spoiled, entitled, all of that. But the literally you can look at studies that show when that man is around, bro, and he active, yeah, it hit different. Even like you in your situation. I had a few stepdads, bro. That and I can say without having my dad, I know having my dad would have been totally fucking different. Cause I didn't have that same respect for I knew them niggas wasn't my real daddy, just like you probably knew. Like nigga, you ain't my real daddy. And we coming from the street, so you already know how that hit. So I get what you saying, but like it's studies that show like when a man is around, that shit hit different, bro. Even if that man don't have a woman, and he's just a single dad.
Hey, no, I think you definitely are very much. Well, I can say this right here. I pretty much agree, but to this, right? Because looking at a clear and obvious situation, right? Like the one of my younger brother, all right? He lost the mother of his child, I guess, when his child was like 3 months, right? And so I think sometimes even with us as strong fathers, we can, and it's good to promote that. Because it's good to see the successes of our men being engaged in the lives of our children, uh, being the absence of the mother or the presence of the mother. Salute to all the men doing that, and also doing that in the lives of children in which aren't theirs. But I could say this that things get tough, right? That's with my little nephew KJ, right? He's 12. Does great, man. He's got all kind of shit for Christmas. You know, doing a good job. Great, you know, straight A's. You doing a great job. Very mannerable young man.